The truth of the matter is that I've had a long day. I think I'm coming down with the flu. Like, my throat is all itchy. It's all very dramatic. Like, how I feel is how Usain Bolt's toes look. That's how I feel. It's too much. I can't. Hi guys, welcome back to Status of the Nation. Yes, there's drama in the Republic. There's a lot going on, but here we are. Now, at this point, I know a lot of you are aware that State of the Nation 2018 has been postponed. Now, that was supposed to happen on Thursday. So today's Tuesday the 6th as I'm recording this. So it's been announced that State of the Nation has been postponed. We don't know till when. And they said that they're going to let us know very soon when that's going to happen, and I hope that they do. So another reason why a lot of drama is happening is because the NEC, after we were told that the State of Nation has been postponed, the NEC let us know that they're going to have an emergency meeting tomorrow on Wednesday, and the newly appointed ANC spokesperson basically let us know that the public will be informed of the outcome of that meeting, of which they definitely have to tell us what's going on, because at this point everybody's speculating about any and everything and no one really knows what's going on. So part of the reason why I think we're here at this current moment of a postponed SONA and this emergency NEC meeting is that I have to believe that whatever negotiations they were having with Jacob Zuma clearly didn't work. Now, if you guys remember in the previous Status of the Nation video, I talked about how on Sunday the top six was going to have a meeting with Jacob Zuma and they were basically going to discuss, you know, his future within the party. Now, I have to imagine that whatever those discussions were and those negotiations were, they clearly didn't work. But my belief is also that whatever it is that Jacob Zuma was asking for are things that Cyril and the top six as a whole just cannot give him. I mean, for example, can you imagine if he said that he wants immunity from prosecution, he wants to be able to take all of his money, he wants nothing to happen to his kids, and he just wants to hop on a plane and go? Do you see how that's something that the top six just cannot give him? Because what would that signal to the country if they just let him go? So I honestly feel like part of the reason why they didn't get a favorable outcome is when they were at the negotiation table, whatever Jacob Zuma was asking, they just were not going to be able to give him. And I kind of feel like a part of him knew that he wasn't going to get all of those things. Now, since we're here, the buzz in the air, or people's general feeling, is that what's going to happen now is that Jacob Zuma is going to be recalled. So I have a couple of theories. I have a couple of thoughts and maybe options of how this thing could unfold. Now, in terms of our constitution and how our parliament is set up, we know that in order for you to remain president effectively, you have to have the support of the majority party. In this instance, that would be the ANC. Now, once you lose support of the majority party, it's kind of difficult for you to, you know, remain president. So in this instance, if Jacob Zuma is recalled, it would basically signal to him that he's lost the support of the majority of the party and, you know, kind of make him not be president anymore. No, but seriously, before I get into that, I wanted to talk about loyalty and politics. What I've come to realize is that in politics, loyalty is not automatic. It's not even permanent. People will be loyal to a leader for as long as they feel that it's beneficial to self. The opposite also holds true. People will distance themselves from a leader if they feel that by being loyal to them, it will cost them, whether it's political aspirations, economic, whatever it is it may be. So politics and loyalty, those two things don't go hand in hand. They only go hand in hand for as long as there's something that the other person is gaining and that there isn't a perceived loss on their side by continuing to be loyal to you as a leader. Now, speaking of loyalty, the way I see it working is one of two ways. Is that the ANC, if they vote to recall Jacob Zuma, it's because one, Cyril has overwhelming loyalty within the newly elected NEC. That's number one. Number two is that the NEC has taken a step back and they've realized that if they don't get rid of Jacob Zuma, it will be detrimental to the party going into 2019. So in terms of loyalty, that's kind of where I think it's gonna come down to. Either people are fiercely loyal to Cyril, or they thinking about the good of the party to say if we don't get rid of him, our chances are slim in 2019. Now, for the second to also hold true, there needs to be a deep-rooted belief in the NEC that if they don't get rid of him, they are going to lose, and that the only way they can guarantee 2019 for themselves is to get rid of him. But the opposite might also hold true, which is that there may be a perceived threat within the NEC that if they do recall Jacob Zuma, it might split the party. Now, we have to remember, whether we agree or not, Jacob Zuma does have support in the party now. Whether it's a big support or a small support, no one really knows, and we can't really definitively say where it stands. But there might be the threat that if they decide to recall him, the party might split. I'm not saying that that's the case, but there's also the opposite, that if they get rid of him, they're thinking, great, we've guaranteed a win for the party in 2019. But the opposite could also hold true, that there might be a fear that could sink in that says, if we get rid of him, what if it splits the party? I mean, we already saw what happened in front of Luthuli House. Yes, it wasn't a big number, but it's a number all the same. Now, like I was saying before, that if the NEC decides to recall Jacob Zuma, that basically just shows that he's lost, support within the party. Now, recalling Jacob Zuma doesn't necessarily legally fire him from being president, because you have to remember that a president is not elected by the NEC. He's elected by the NA, which is the National Assembly. To the NEC, he's a deployee. That's why they can recall him, if that makes sense. So if you're Jacob Zuma, you basically have two options if you've been recalled. The first option is that if the NEC recalls you as Jacob Zuma, what you would do is that you would resign. So you would do effectively what Thabo Mbeki did in 2008. He got recalled and that he resigned. So that would be the safest option in terms of the direction of the party. And it would be also the less messy approach of having to take it into parliament and do that whole thing. So that's the first option. If he gets recalled, he would just resign, and that would kind of be the end of it. Option number one. So the second option is that Jacob Zuma could dig his heels in and say he's not going anywhere. Because literally, tomorrow the NEC could say we're recalling you. He could be like, and just not go anywhere. Because like I said, legally, they can't fire him. Only the National Assembly can do that. So if he's recalled and he refuses to resign, what the ANC can basically do is that they can go to parliament and initiate and basically support a motion of no confidence under section, I think it's 102.2 of the Constitution. So this section, this is what it reads. It says, if the National Assembly, by a vote supported by a majority of its members, passes a motion of no confidence in the president and the other members of the cabinet and any deputy ministers must resign. Now, I feel like this section was raised before because there have been so many motions and votes of no confidence, and it always seems to come down to the detail there that talks about, the cabinet and other deputy ministers would have to resign. And anytime I've had a conversation with people around this, it's always come down to people saying you're effectively asking for people to vote to get rid of him so that they can lose their jobs. So now the question becomes, are people going to think about the good of the country, or they're going to think about self? Because let's be serious. If this vote comes down to this and you're asking me as a deputy minister or someone in the cabinet that a vote of no confidence in him basically says that the whole thing has to go, you're asking me to vote myself out of a job. Now, I don't know how comfortable I am in doing that. And that might be the reason why all this time, whenever this motion was always brought, people always thought, guys, I mean, I feel you, I do, but I got these bills to pay, my kids need to go to school, I gotta pay for this house. So I'm not quite sure how that works, but that's just how I'm reading it. And that might give some ANC members pause, like it's done before. So if Jacob Zuma loses the support of the NEC, he would basically lose support in the National Assembly, because you have to remember that ANC makes up a majority of the people who sit in the National Assembly. So if he loses at the NEC and he refuses to resign and they take it to this vote, he would effectively then be in the position where he's fired as the president of the country, because the majority also of the National Assembly would vote for no confidence in him. Now, the last outcome or the last scenario is that whatever the NEC discusses tomorrow has absolutely nothing to do with recalling him. At this point, it's a possibility. The meeting could be to discuss whatever it is that they want. I mean, we also saw today that before the Speaker of the House actually announced that they're going to postpone it, she actually mentioned that the President had written to them requesting that it be postponed because they're talking about new developments and whatever. So what if, it was just because they were like, well, the EFF is going to disrupt State of Nation? Because, I mean, if you were listening to the EFF presser, Julius Malema basically said that the State of Nation is not going to happen, that they are going to be tabling the emotion of no confidence. There'll be no State of Nation. So maybe they just thought that, there's going to be too many disruptions tomorrow. At this point, no one really knows, but I can understand why all of us are thinking along the lines that, what is going to happen is that he's going to be recalled. But the question becomes, after he's recalled, what does he do? Does he go the Thabo Mbeki route where he just resigns? Or does it become a very messy, ugly thing where it goes the other way? I almost think that everything that's led up to this point for me has been an indication that, if need be, Jacob Zuma will sacrifice the party for himself. Time and time again, when he's been faced with the opportunity to put the party and the country before himself, he's always chosen himself. He's always spoken about how he's done nothing wrong. He's always spoken about, if the people want me out, they must just say. He's always done all of these things without thinking about how it will affect the party. So I do believe that on some level, he just might shock everyone and say, if I go down, I will take this whole party with me. And that just might be him dragging his feet. That might be him going the messy route. That might have the party splitting. No one knows. But what I do believe about him, just how he's conducted himself, is that he will always choose to save himself before he saves the party. And it's unfortunate, because to me, the mark of a true leader is someone who will sacrifice self for the greater good. But yeah, so as it is Tuesday the 6th of Feb, this is the status of our nation. We don't know what happens next, but we'll see what tomorrow holds. We'll see if he's still our president. We'll also see who then becomes the new acting president, because there's a belief, again, with a lot of people, that instead of getting someone completely new, the ANC will just put Cyril as an acting president, almost as a precursor, if you will, to 2019, and to give everyone a bit of a taste of him as president. Who's to say? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what options you think Jacob Zuma might explore. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.